Hey Tada, we are back with another video. The page it is called South African Late News. Yeah, this week has been very active in terms of news. The main one being the death of the former police minister, Mr. Nathan Mteto. I would like to send my deepest condolences to his family and his friends and his loved ones. Now, the facts surrounding his death are still sketchy because the French police have not conducted the entire investigation, so we shall wait for them to release the official investigation. However, on the face of it, it seems like Mr. Mtetwa jumped out of the hotel aiming to take his own life. The reason for that are unknown, but it is alleged that his wife reported to the police because he went missing on Monday. And then the wife started to receive some strange messages from Mr. Mtetwa. In one SMS, Mr. Mteto stated that he is sorry for about something and then that he's going to unalive himself. That's the crux of it, meaning that Mr. Mteto he committed suicide. However, we shall wait for the investigation to conclude and then they'll tell us what happened. But we are told that the hotel window it was forced or forcibly opened, meaning that it was pushed really hard. But upon studying the video cameras in the hotel, it seems like no one else entered the hotel except him, meaning that there was no foul play in his death. So, for whatever reason, Mr. Mtetwa took his own life, which is really sad because he was just 58 years old, meaning that he was still not that old for politic purposes. But anyway, he's gone now. His death come after the allegation that were made by Tata Mkwanazi. Mkwanazi alleged that when Mchecho was still the Minister of Police, he instructed him to stop an investigation. And Mkwanazi says that that was the highest form of political interference. So now we'll never know if that's true because Mchecho now will not come to the Malanga Commission of Inquiry to state his side of the story. But it is really sad. I hope that he did not unalive himself because of that, because I do not think he was going to be arrested for that. If indeed it happened, I think the worst that could have happened was that he was going to lose his position as the ambassador of France. But having said that, it is just politics. Strange things happened when you least expect them. And then when it comes to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, on Tuesday, General Kumalo fell sick, and then the commission had to be postponed. I think they will also resume on the 13th of October, the same day of the resumption of the Sansamuwa case. So the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry is now on a break because the witness is not well, and one of the advocates won't be available. I think in the next week, which is why they had to postpone to the following week. However, Mr. Kumalo testified and she read several SMSs that implicated Ket Matlala and Bran Mokhotsi. The name of Mkhulu kept on coming because it seems like they were screenshotting all these messages without him knowing, obviously. So, Mr. Mkhulu, I'm sure, is going to come to this commission and say those SMSs or WhatsApp messages did not directly come from him because those are screenshots. I think that is best way of defense. He will say these WhatsApp messages were created by Brian Mahotsi or whoever just to implicate him or just to fool the people of South Africa. But in the end, there's other evidence that implicates Mr. Sanzam. The fact that Brian Mahotsi knew that the political task team was going to be disbanded before Mkwanazi and Masemula knew. It shows that Brian Mahotsi got that information from the office of the minister. That is the only logical explanation. So when Mkhulu comes to the commission, I think he's going to have a difficult time convincing the judge or the commissioners of his innocence. And then one thing that will count into sense of Mchunu's favor is that he is the minister that cancelled that tender of 360 million that was previously awarded to Kate Matlala. So Mchunu will just say, but now if I was Kate Matlala's friend, why would I then cancel his tender? I think that's going to work in his favor. But we all know that he only cancelled that tender because there was a story that was done by News 24 which showed that procedures were not followed in that tender, which is why Mchunu was forced to cancel it. He did not cancel it because it came from his heart. No, 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 no. The situation demanded that the tender be cancelled because it was issued without following procedures. So that's one thing. And then Khumalo also implicated other individuals that were in contact with Ket Matlala and Bran Makhotsi, of which now they will need to come and defend themselves. It is really interesting to see what else, what other chats Mr. Khumalo is going to read, because there are some chats that he said he will do in camera, meaning that the public will not see them because those cases are still in court. So they do not want to jeopardize the investigation. So I'm hoping that after Khumalo, they'll bring another witness that will bring more evidence, because that's what we need. Mkhunu, by the time he comes, he will need to explain all these things because it is really serious. And then Ubheki was also implicated in that he told Mkwanazi that he must ask one general to leave the SAPS and come to the private sector. But Mkwanazi says Cele asked him that because he wanted to move that general from the case that he was investigating, meaning that he had his personal agendas to remove that investigator. So you see now he is interlinked in this case because he's mentioned there and there. We'll remember that it is a fact that Bekele slept at the penthouse that is owned by Ket Matlala. That is very serious and damaging for his reputation. How could he sleep at a penthouse that is owned by Matlala? But I'm sure his defense is that I did not know it was owned by him. But who told him about the penthouse? How did he end up sleeping there? Those are some of the questions that he will need to answer. And the worst part about Bekele is that on the day that Ken Matlala was supposed to be arrested, Bekele phoned him more than 10 times. More than 10 times. Can you believe that? Seriously, if Bekele did not know or not a friend of Ket Matlala, he would have not have called him 10 times. It means they had a special relationship between the two. They knew each other long before Bekele left as the police minister. So Bekele will have to also explain why did he call Ket Matlala more than 10 times on the day that he was going to be arrested. Some people have alleged that he called him because he wanted to give him a heads up or a warning that hey ndoda uzoboshwa namhlanje, do something about it. Those are allegations, and I somehow believe them, because why would someone call you 10 times or more? Clearly there's that sense of agency from Bekele. So Bekele, I think he will also need to come to this commission and explain his actions, because his actions are very questionable. Why would a minister or a former minister be in contact with someone that is a known criminal? Bekele cannot plead ignorance by saying, I didn't know he was a criminal. No, 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 no. Ket Matlala's criminal past has been all there for everyone to view. So as a police minister, I'm sure he had access to information. So he would have known who is Ket Matlala long before he became a police minister. So it is vitally important that the commission gets the side of Bekele. But I think once the commission is done, Bekele, it should be recommended that the police investigate him and his relationship with Uket Matlala. Remember that that tender of 360 million was awarded when Bheki was still the Minister of Police. So as things stand, I think Bheki is the one that was more friendly towards Ket Matlala than Trezo Mchunu. So Bheki is actually the one that has got a lot to answer. But when it comes to the tender, how was it awarded to him? Were procedures followed? Was Bheki involved in any way? Did he influence the body that was allocating the tender? Those are some of the serious questions that Bheki will need to ask, that you need to answer once it's been asked. So I cannot wait for those that are implicated to come and then defend themselves. You know about Shadrach Sibiya. We were told by Mkwanazi that Sibiya was the link between Ulona, Karimatlala, and then being protected. So he's alleging that Sibiya used to give him heads up and also was friendly with him, meaning that Sibiya was also friends with criminals. So Sibiya will also need to come and explain his actions. It is alleged that Sibiya was at the forefront of the disbandment of the KZN task team that was involved for that was busy investigating the political killings. Sibiya, he actually the one that signed the letter that was instructing Umasemula to disband the task team immediately. This is after Umasemula had refused to sign. So Sibiya yena ngokwakhe he decided to sign it under his own name because there was a rush for him to close down this task team. So clearly there's a prima facie case against Sibiya. Ukuthi yindaba uSibiya ayijaha ukuthi le task team evalwe. Clearly it shows that there was an intent on his side to protect those that were investigated by the task team. So Sibiya will have to come and explain one thing here. Firstly, is why did he sign the letter? Because he was not the police commissioner. Secondly, the police commissioner, Masemula, had actually told him that he's not going to sign the letter. So why did he disrespect his own boss and went ahead to sign that letter, which was calling for the ending of the political task team? So Sibiya has got a lot to answer. And then there are also other allegations against Sibiya, which will be aired on camera, meaning that we're not going to see the testimony against him. We were told by Nletla Mkhwanazi that there's a big five. We were told that Ket Matlala, TK Molefe, and Sibiya are part of. So now I'm waiting to know who's the fourth and the fifth one because it's a big five. We need to know as a country. So I think it was really unfair that Mkhwanazi and Khumalo did not disclose the names of the other two. As South African, we deserve to know who is committing serious crimes in this country. So there was no need for them to say that information will only be disclosed on camera. No, they should have made it public because this commission inquiry is all about disclosing the criminal elements that are taking place in this country. So the country deserves to know. The excuse for taking that testimony into camera is that there are some sensitive cases that are being investigated. But to disclose their names, it will not jeopardize any case. Because they'll tell us, okay, it's so and so, it's X or Y. Then as a country will know that, okay, these guys cannot be trusted and then act differently around them. Be cautious about them. But now the fact that they did not tell us, I think it is sad. But however, we'll know before the end of the commission because once the commission has started to hear more and more witnesses, the commission is obliged to issue interim reports, meaning that we're not going to wait for the commission to finish. Mr. Madlanga will have to issue reports stating that I recommend that there should be investigation on so and so. So once those interim reports, then we'll get a clear understanding of all the people that are implicated, and then we might have an idea who is part of the so-called Big Five, because we need to know who is the Big Five, because those we're told is the main cartel that is dominating South Africa and Gauteng. But anyway, we shall wait for the Madanga Commission of Inquiry to resume, and I hope that more relevant witnesses will come. Remember, Tim Kwana said the judiciary is also complicit in these criminal activities. So we need more evidence that will implicate judges and magistrates, so that we know as a country who is corrupt. So I'm waiting for that part of evidence that's going to implicate the judiciary. I'm sure that Mkonazi is right about that, but in reality, when you make an allegation, you must prove it. So as it stands, there's not much has been said about the judiciary corruption. But one thing for sure that I remember, Mr. Ulo TK Mlifa, he was refused bail at the magistrate court. But later on, he appealed at the higher court and he got bail. And facts surrounding that bail are the same facts that were given during the case before the magistrate court, meaning that there were no different issues. So there was no reason for Judge Ledwaba, let me just say it, for Judge Ledwaba to give him bail, because a lower court had said no bail. But then Judge Ledwaba decided otherwise. So that judgment by Judge Ledwaba, I think it needs to be investigated by this commission in order to really understand what was the thought process of Judge Ledwaba when he gave him bail. Because clearly this guy is a dangerous man. A bail of 10,000 rand is nothing to him. So I think Judge Ledwaba there was very wrong, and he needs to be investigated. Judges are not gods, so they are not immune from being investigated. So I think this commission can look into his judgment and also call him if it is necessary for him to explain how did he arrive at a decision. Because to me, it is really, really strange, because there was a strong evidence that this guy is a criminal. Yet you as a judge, you give him bail. No, 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 no. There's something wrong there that needs to be investigated. I am not casting aspersions on Judge Ledwaba. I'm just saying he needs to be investigated, because he is not above the law. Judges are not gods. Judges are not perfect. So their rulings are not immune from being scrutinized. So Judge Ledwaba, he must account. And then the Senzo case will resume on the 30th of October, as I've said, and the defense will call their first witness. I think that's going to be Advocate Mnisi that will call his first witness. I'm hoping that is going to be Absalom Zungu, because Absalom Zungu is the one that is going to debunk, firstly, the evidence of Constable Zungu's son. Then he's going to debunk the evidence of Brigadier Kininda. Remember that Brigadier Kininda said Absalom Zungu gave him a statement, but Babu Zungu denies that. He said he gave no statement to Brigadier Kininda. So Kininda will have to explain where did he get statement to Baba Absalom Zungu. Absalom Zungu was implying that Kininda concocted that statement, and creating a fake statement is a criminal offense. If proven, then Kininda will be in big trouble for breaking the law. And then Constable Zungu, we were told that he was at the hospital, but his father says he told him that Uguti, I only testified at the Senzo case because I was expecting a promotion at work. So Constable Zungu in actual fact testified because He had ulterior motive. He wanted promotion within the SAPS. Those are the allegations made by his father. So once that becomes part of the record, Judge Rata will have to analyze it and then weigh his option. Do I believe Constable Zungu? Do I believe Zungu twice I was still on a day? Jackson was short. So we'll take it from there. But that should create a reasonable doubt in the judge's mind. And therefore, you should acquit the 5 men that are before court. Thank you for watching.